I the a-hole for leaving my sister stranded at a restaurant after she brought my dad? I, 30 male, have a complicated history with my dad. I'll call him Jake, and haven't seen him in over 11 years. When I was 13, the biggest family secret came out that ended my parents' marriage and my relationship with him. All thanks to my mom who cheated, got pregnant, and passed me off as his. We all found out, and like a switch went off, Jake wanted nothing to do with me at all. They got divorced. My older sister was his, so he only fought for custody of her. He was horrible to me when this first came out. As if it was my fault. And for a long time, I did think that. In fact, it took years of therapy to stop feeling like it was all my fault. For a long time after it came out, I did everything to be in Jake's life like he was in my sister's. I never held back telling me looking at me makes him sick, and it was never my dad. Telling this to a 14-year-old. My last attempt was when I was around 18. By then, Jake had gotten remarried. His new wife was pregnant, and I convinced my sister to bring me to the baby shower hoping to talk to him. Big mistake. He flipped on me outside, and it was the most humiliating and hurtful moment of my life. Jake told me to go find my real dad and stop bothering him. That was it for me, and we didn't speak again. Now I get it. He was cheated on, he was hurt, and I'm a reminder of the biggest betrayal of his life. The affair kid. But I was also human with feelings. Took time, but I forgot about him with lots of therapy. Still close with my sister, but she keeps her relationship with him separate from ours. Except for now. He got sick from COVID last year, and I guess that was his come to Jesus moment. Now he's suddenly interested. But for me, the damage is done, and I've turned that chapter in my life. Have my wife and family. A father-in-law who's loved me and treated me like his own for years. So I've denied seeing him. But because now he wants to, my sister keeps trying to set it up. Earlier this week, she tried to surprise me with him at the restaurant where we were having lunch. I got up and left without saying anything to him. I was caught off guard, so the only thing going on in my mind is, I gotta get out. My sister came with me, so that means I was her ride and just left her there. And my sister's really mad about me leaving. His wife dropped him off, and it was gonna be a while for her to come back since she had appointments. But the point is, they ended up being there way longer than expected. On top of that, she got to work late since the plan was for me to drive her back after eating. Not sure if she's actually mad that I left her, or that I didn't stay to eat with Jake. But yeah, she does think I was an a-hole for taking off like that. Not totally sure if I was, since I've made it clear we are done, but at the same time I did leave her without a ride. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What your sister did was wrong. She should not have sprung him on you after all the trauma he had caused. If she had told you he was coming and you had agreed, then you would have been the a-hole. But you didn't know he was going to be there. That wasn't the plan. And she did not ask if you were comfortable with it. She honestly should have expected you were going to be overwhelmed. I'm sorry you went through that, and I'm glad to hear you have a loving family. She knows I wouldn't have gone at all, so that's why she didn't tell me. It was painful as hell, believe me. I'm just grateful to have found a wonderful family with my wife. Not the a-hole. Your sister is the a-hole here. She's the one you had a present-day ongoing relationship with, and she betrayed your trust. Don't let her talk you into thinking you owed her a ride after the stunt she pulled. As they say, play stupid games, etc., etc. You didn't leave them stranded on the side of the road during a thunderstorm. You left them in a nice restaurant after you were ambushed. They had plenty of time to have a nice meal while waiting for an Uber or something. OP, you panicked and left. You had to have years of therapy to get to a more comfortable place, and good for you for doing the work and marrying well. Your dad may have had a come-to-Jesus moment, but you, OP, you don't have to care. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Proverbial stupid game/prizes moment for your sister. You may want to rethink your relationship with your sister, since she appears to have picked up a lot more of her father's personality and attitudes than you may have previously known. Her reaction was to deflect and blame you for the situation, rather than apologize. A rather telling reflex. You didn't leave her stranded. She tried to manipulate you for her father's sake, not yours. She was late for work because she assumed that you would be easily manipulated into staying, that you were as desperate as you were when you were a teen to have a relationship. Also, her real motive was probably even more selfish. She wanted to be the hero and peacemaker between you and her father, so she could tell everyone how she finally mended the relationship and take social media credit for attention. You owe her father nothing, including an opportunity to apologize or explain. You don't owe him anything. Walking away was not an a-hole move. It was the most polite and reasonable thing you could have done. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my homeless sister a place to stay? My sister's husband left her for someone else. The house they lived in was inherited by him years before she met him, and there was never any mortgage on it. In our jurisdiction, this means it isn't part of the marital property or the divorce process, so she isn't entitled to the house or any of the equity in the divorce. Her husband was able to get a court order to evict her from the homes, and she was lawfully evicted. She will get half of their savings account, but that will all go to her legal fees apparently. She isn't eligible for alimony, he isn't rich, and it's not a factor. I haven't had contact with my sister since 2016. She was the one who cut off contact. She got contact because my husband is a police officer. She doesn't like the police. She's never contacted or spoken to my husband even once. She hated that I was dating a police officer, and when he proposed, she said if I married him, she would never speak to me again. There was no other reason for her not to like him besides his job, but she is the type that posts quotes and statements on social media, but she never does any activism beyond that. That was the last time I saw or heard from her, until she recently showed up at my house asking to stay because her husband left her and had her evicted. Our parents can't take her in because they just moved into a retirement condo community. Only residents can live there, and you have to be over 50. They aren't struggling, but they can't afford to help her after their own rent/fees/bills. When she cut me off, my parents said I should be able to marry whoever I want, but at the same time, I should be sensitive to why my sister is upset and see her point of view. I have no other relatives besides my parents and sister, and I don't really visit my parents, and I talk to them on the phone about once a month. I am in an industry where I can't work from home, and where things are still closed because of the pandemic. I have been laid off from my job until things reopen. The business is not gone and the industry will be back, but I've been unemployed since last March. I have done some freelancing, but my husband is the breadwinner right now. My sister, who hates my husband even though she's never had contact with him, came to my house after her eviction wanting to stay with us. She said my husband makes enough that we can't afford to have her stay rent-free and support her, and have her eat our food, use our internet, etc., and that we owe it to her. I can't believe her nerve, and I told her no, and said if she comes back, I'll call the police on her for trespassing. She called me an a-hole and a terrible sibling, and she wouldn't stop calling or texting me until I blocked her. She is staying at a shelter or outside if there are no beds available now. Am I really being too hard on her? Am I the a-hole and a bad sibling for refusing to take her in when she is homeless? Not the a-hole. Absolutely do not give in to this. Evictions take time as do divorce settlements. She knew this was happening and made no plans, got no job, and clearly made bad decisions. I don't believe for 1 second she agreed to a settlement that was only enough to pay legal fees. She spent all her money, or doesn't want to, wasted months she could have been getting employment at her own place, with the intention to leech off of someone she clearly doesn't even like. Ignore her. Just to provide clarity, they are not divorced yet. Legally separated and the divorce will be finalized soon, but it has not happened yet. Her insistence that you owe her despite her continued refusal to apologize makes you not the a-hole. She can deal with the consequences of her own actions in alienating you. Right there. Ignoring that her sister declined to speak to Opie over the spouse being a cop that she has never in her life met, she's still the a-hole. As soon as she said that she was owed anything, it's entirely appropriate to tell her to screw herself while she waits for a bed. I help people when I can because I feel like it's the right thing to do. But when someone feels entitled to my aid without treating me with even the most basic of common courtesies, I'm not interested. Not the a-hole. She cut off contact and killed the relationship, not you. She can't now expect you to live off the guy she cut you out over. That's not how life works. She now knows why you don't burn bridges you may have to cross later. You don't owe her anything, Opie. Not the a-hole. You owe her nothing. Also, based on her behavior, If you let her stay, you might not be able to kick her out without getting your own court order to evict her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for providing statement to police after brother stole from me? Backstory. My brother, 30 male, has been struggling with addiction since he was 15 years old. He still lives at home with my father. Him and I, 33 male, have always had a shaky relationship. My other two brothers and my mom want nothing to do with him. I placed an order paid in full on April 20 at Home Depot. On April 23, I was arrested. I was released on June 21. I went to Home Depot on June 22 for my order, and they informed me that my order was released to my younger brother on May 27. She even called my brother right in front of me, and I heard him confirm that he did pick it up. Luckily, I had recorded a majority of the convo he just had with a rep, so there was no denying it. He says he already sold the product. I told him I wanted my money. He agreed and said on Friday he would pay me. Friday comes and he says he's not going to give it to me anymore, that it's not his fault that Home Depot gave it to him. I told him that he had until Monday to give me the money, and he didn't say anything else. On Wednesday, I filed a chargeback with my bank who said that they would not approve the chargeback unless a police report was filed, and I gave a statement. I told them I would think about it and get back to them. Later in the day, Home Depot calls me and says they want to avoid a chargeback, and they would refund me my money under the same circumstances the bank was asking. A few hours later, I got a call from a detective asking me for a statement, so I cooperated. The detective let me know that she first contacted my brother to give him the opportunity to just repay the money, but he refused to even give a statement. Now my dad is telling me that I am the a-hole for cooperating, that I know how it is to be in jail, and why would I want to send my little brother to such a place? I see it this way. I didn't ask him to steal my product. I just want my money back. And since he refused to give it to me, I simply did what I needed to do to protect my interests. Shortly after giving my statement, Home Depot notified me that my refund had been issued. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole for reporting to police, as it seems the only way to get your much-needed cash expediently, but I can't help but think there are about 1,000 things being left unsaid here. Yes, you're correct. There's a ton more to the story. I tried to hit all of the most relevant stuff though. He's been to rehab 4 to 5 times, but has always checked himself out after a few weeks. He's never been forced to make a lifestyle change because my dad is the biggest enabler on earth and provides my brother with a home, food, and most importantly, a safe and comfortable place to get and be high. All for free, of course. Info. Why did Home Depot give your stuff to your brother? I feel like most places would have put your stuff back on the shelves and refunded you after 2 weeks. Also, they are only supposed to release the items to you or someone who you specifically designate as an alternate. Well, both my brother and I are sellers on Amazon. I can only speak for myself. I spend $20,000+ a month on various products from Home Depot that I resell, and I think my brother does somewhere around the same. We do not work together, nor do we sell any of the same products. However, anytime either one of us places a new order, 95% of the time the order is placed through the same Pro Extra Desk representative. I've been working with her for about 8 years now, and my brother maybe 4 years, and have built a great rapport with her. My brother took advantage of their relationship and her trust. He told her I had been arrested and said that I had called him asking him to help me out and pick up my product and fulfill my orders, which could not be further from the truth. It kind of was Home Depot's mistake, but I understand why they released the order to him. Not the a-hole. He committed a crime and should be punished for it. He's probably stolen hundreds of times before and thought that because you are family, you'd let him get away with it. Good on you for following through. Yes, thank you. He's literally stolen from me at least 10 times in the past 5 years. It even broke into my place last year. Took several and broke several other things. All because he gets high and paranoid. I've never done anything about it before because it's always been stuff worth no more than a couple $100. I'm sure he thought he could get away with it this time too, but I'm not willing to let several $1,000s go. I mean, he could have just asked for it, and I would have very willingly give it to him. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take care of my boyfriend's brother? My boyfriend and I have been together for just over a year. 4 months into our relationship, he brought me to meet his mom and brother who is autistic. He told me in advance about his brother, but I assumed he would be like my ex who was a little social awkward but lived a normal life. I was shocked when I met him, as it seemed he was at a 10-year-old's mental development. He had a meltdown during dinner, and I could see how stressed his mom was at having to deal with us. We talked after we drove back, and he told me his mom was planning on sending him to a group home, as she is getting older and would soon be no longer able to take care of him. I thought nothing more about this. But last week, his mom had a health scare, and she asked him to take his brother. Both his parents are in poor health at this point, so likely this will be semi-permanent. He told me the plan had changed, and he would have to take his brother in. I'm not sure why, because everyone is getting shots and the numbers are down, but he explained there's currently an insane 2-year waiting list for an entry to a group home. He wants me to take care of his brother as he works 12 hours a day out of the house. I work from home permanently, but I know my work would be disrupted if his brother had a meltdown. So I moved back to my old place with my roommates, as I had just moved out for 3 months and they hadn't found a new roommate yet. My boyfriend is mad because now he has no way of working and taking care of his brother and thinks I'm being sympathetic to his problems. But I don't want to take care of him, especially when it would affect my work. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to care for my boyfriend's brother? Not the a-hole. I'm sympathetic to the fact that your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother in short notice. But deciding, without any discussion, that you are going to watch him 12 hours a day is ridiculous. If it was an hour here and there, I would go you're the a-hole because sometimes you just have to bite a bullet. But 60 to 80 hours a week? No, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If he wants to take in his brother, I admire him for it. However, it sounds like he was about to lay 100% of the responsibility on you. It is not your responsibility. You cannot work from home and take care of his brother too. It's not realistic, and most jobs wouldn't allow it. A lot of work-from-home jobs won't allow you to even have kids at home and require proof of outside daycare to ensure there are no interruptions on the time they are paying you for. Your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother on his own. Not the a-hole. It's annoying me that so many comments are she's not trying to do the job, when the absolute only correct response is, it's totally inappropriate and unacceptable for a man to expect his girlfriend to take over the care of a relative. We don't have to say because of her job or because she's not trained, but because the mere fact of it is insane. Edit. For the confused, he didn't ask. He told Opie that he expected her to care for the brother. That's the deal breaker. Am I the a-hole for telling my heavily pregnant friend her fiancé was in a documentary? Okay, it's currently 4 a.m., and I feel so guilty right now that I can't sleep. So, my friends and I decided to watch a documentary that's been trending. Not gonna lie, I was expecting a documentary showing the human side of a certain person, but yeah, as anyone who's seen it knows, that's not what it was. On to the issue, my friend's fiancé was one of the 1,000. I wasn't the first person to notice. 2 other friends noticed it first. I didn't believe it at first, but after a second watch, it was definitely him. Even though his face was covered, his body shape and especially his tattoos were undeniable. We debated until the early hours of the morning whether we should tell her or wait because she's 8 months pregnant. But in my opinion, if someone cheats like that, it's not their first time. I'd rather lose her friendship by telling her straight away than have her find out I knew and hid it. Let's be real, when you tell someone news like that, there's a huge chance they'll hate you, not the cheater. So this Sunday morning, I asked my friend to meet up to talk. I showed her the evidence, and the minute she looked at the picture, she knew it was him and broke down. I expected her to be angry at me, but she thanked me for being honest. Especially since multiple people had only hinted that she should watch the documentary instead of being upfront like I was. I ended up driving her to her mom's house. I'm guessing she told her fiancé I told her because he has been blowing up my phone, calling me an evil little homewrecker who ruined his life, and accusing me on social media of trying to ruin his relationship and wanting his unborn daughter to grow up without a dad. My friends are angry with me for telling her straight away and not waiting until after she had the baby, in case the stress would cause health issues. I don't give two shits about her fiancé, but I feel so bad for putting my friend in this situation while heavily pregnant. I'm worried that if something does happen to her, it will be my fault. Like maybe she would have found out on her own if I had just waited. Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant friend her fiancé was in a documentary? Now for the top advice before reading the mini update. Just to be clear, since the OP wasn't, the dude was in a video banging a random chick with 999 other guys, apparently while already with his fiancée. I'm pretty sure this is cut and dry LOL. He was part of the 1000 Bonnie Blue lineup in January. They got engaged on Christmas Day, and my friend would have found out around January she was pregnant. She didn't tell us till she was 3 months pregnant. People were saying I was very vague in the post, but I didn't know would saying the name of the documentary against the rules, and I don't want to give too much information away for my friend's sake. Yeah, you absolutely needed to tell your friend. I have a hard time believing this is the only time he's been unfaithful too. Not many guys decide to cheat for the first time by doing porn. I really hope he was decent enough to be careful for my friend's sake. Let's be real. What matters is how your friend feels. You told her right away and she was thankful. She took action right away. Does that sound like the kind of person who would want you to keep that secret from her? Not the a-hole. It's early days yet though. She could stay with him, and this could all turn on me. I'm a hairdresser and I've had women come in telling me they're getting divorced, giving very valid reasons. And then 4 weeks later they'll come in praising their partner. There's always a chance in situations like this that the victim will put their hate on the wrong person. Yeah, you're right. That is a possibility. Her reaction makes me think she's a bit more self-assured and confident than that, but it's always possible. Probably a good idea to block her ex and not badmouth him in the meantime. But even if that's what happens, you still did what a true friend would do. And you're not the a-hole. If I were her, I would absolutely want to know before giving birth and having the extra complications of a kid to deal with. She now has time to set up her support network. Now for the mini update. My friend's fiancé wasn't the only one of our partners involved in the lineup. My boyfriend of 3 years was one, and so was another friend's husband. 2 hours ago, he, my now ex, posted screenshots of a group chat and photographic receipts that no one could deny. Other men in relationships were involved. He said in the caption, "I wasn't the only one there," tags me. Maybe check your own man before coming for my relationship. Tags 5 other women. I'm not taking the blame alone and being seen as the bad guy while tags the men did the same. There was a lot more said, but I stopped reading and just deleted my social media accounts, then blocked my now ex. I don't want to hear his explanation. I feel so humiliated and physically sick. I don't know how I'm going to face my coworkers or clients at work tomorrow. I wish I could just disappear. My phone is going crazy, so I'm going to turn it off, take a long shower, and see if I can get any sleep for what I'm sure will be a hellish tomorrow. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my ex-best friend a taste of her own medicine after she betrayed me? My 26 female stirred up some controversy recently with my former best friend, let's call her Taylor, also 26, after pulling a petty move I don't really regret. Taylor and I were best friends for over a decade. We met in high school and had been inseparable ever since. Through college, nursing school, and even landing jobs at the same hospital. When my parents moved abroad, her family became mine. Her mom even called me her second daughter. A year ago, I was stuck in a toxic, abusive relationship and had to leave my apartment overnight. Taylor took me in without hesitation. I moved into her second bedroom, and we agreed this would be temporary until I could break my lease. I insisted on paying rent and utilities, and we made clear boundaries about shared space and guests, especially since we worked opposite shifts. But as soon as I moved in, she changed. She became cold, passive-aggressive, and accusatory. One night, just 2 weeks in, she blew up at me for not paying rent mid-month, even though we'd agreed on a payment schedule since I was paying 2 separate rents and utility bills until I could break my lease. We talked it through, she apologized, and blamed work stress. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Then came more issues. guests over without notice, complaints about trivial things, like folded clothes left in the bathroom, and eventually a major fight where she accused me of taking advantage of her kindness. I reminded her I was paying bills and following our agreement. She claimed she thought I'd just pay and not expect any say in the living arrangement. After that, we didn't speak for days. But eventually, things became tolerable, albeit tense. About a week after this incident is when things really shifted, after a mutual friend's birthday outing. I noticed some of our friends were cold toward me. Later, one of them told me Taylor had been spreading lies, saying I was messy, didn't pay rent, and was playing the victim over my abuse and blowing it out of proportion. I was devastated and confronted her. She dismissed me, said she was tired of the drama, and I snapped, telling her I'd move out. I just needed until the end of the month to find a place. She agreed. However, she then ghosted me entirely, refusing to even acknowledge my existence, let alone speak to me. Needing an escape, I asked a few friends if I could stay with them for the weekend, to which they agreed. Only a day into staying at my friend's place, I got a message from Taylor's mom saying Taylor had packed all my things and left them in her garage. When I got there, my stuff was thrown haphazardly into trash bags and boxes. Some of my things were broken or missing. She even made sure to put a whole bottle of opened soy sauce in with my white clothes for extra spite. Her mom apologized to me, saying that Taylor had been acting strange recently and that she didn't know what her deal was. She told me she hoped things would get better, but advised me not to contact Taylor again until then. Obviously, I didn't listen and wanted answers. I messaged Taylor on IG since she hadn't blocked me there yet, asking why she had done this and requesting my missing things back. She didn't respond, but I did get a message from her mother telling me to stop harassing her daughter and that Taylor was going through things. Tired and heartbroken, I didn't want to fight any longer, so I just blocked them both, along with many of our mutual friends. I stayed in a hotel for a while and eventually found a new place. I've spent the last year healing, going to therapy and starting over. New apartment, new hospital, new friends. I even deactivated my social media for some peace. That all changed last week. Taylor reached out through a new number, saying she felt awful and wanted to reconnect and apologize. Old me would have jumped at the chance, but something felt off. So I decided to reach out to some old mutual friends and found out that Taylor had been secretly dating my abusive ex behind my back while I was living with her. The same ex I was trying to escape at the time, the one I had been crying about, who left marks all over me. I found out they had been dating for some time but had just recently broken up. I was disgusted and I snapped. I texted Taylor saying I'd love to catch up and made a reservation at one of our favorite busy Friday lunch spots. She showed up on time. I stayed home in my pajamas. I kept texting her fake excuses, stuck in traffic, parking now, etc., before finally blocking her. Then I had my mom, who doesn't like her either, send one last message. There's no need to text my daughter anymore. Please stop harassing her. Some friends say it was deserved, but many others that I respect and admire think I took it too far and should have been the bigger person. At first, I felt very vindicated in my actions and even thought I went easy on her, but now I'm not so sure. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? When you said a taste of her own medicine, I thought you meant she was gonna turn up to your reservation and find you locking lips with an ex of hers. Honestly though, I could have made it so much worse than I did. I also didn't have the time to coordinate all of that. I have a question. Do you think there's a possibility of them dating before you broke up with your ex? Because I'm just like, it's just weirdly timed. Or your ex was just that charming. I also love how her mom is saying you were harassing her, when in fact, she's doing the harassing. And you could have pressed charges for damages, so she's pretty lucky you didn't. I honestly have no idea. I was working really erratic hours at the time, so it's possible. I was in a lot of denial during that time, truthfully, so it's possible I just missed all of the signs. I never imagined any of this would happen, but I guess you never really know what lurks in the hearts of others. Ugh, not the a-hole. I agree with other posters here that you weren't mean enough. Nurses can be some of the coldest people on the planet. I am one, and it sends chills down my spine that we as a group can be so toxic. I thought I got really lucky with my friend group because I 100% have been bullied at work before. But between Taylor, the bulk of my former friends, and now this with some of my current friends, I'm finding really hard to want to be friends with other nurses at the moment, which is really sad. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take the blame after my niece was hospitalized? Let me start by saying I don't know much about flowers, plants, etc., but I have 2 cacti from my ex-boyfriend. One of them looks like a generic cactus. The second one is almost white and looks like it has soft fluff instead of spines. It's soft to the touch, but if you touch it for too long, the soft fuzz becomes prickly. I've pricked myself a few times with it, but it never hurt me. That said, my sister came to our country with her husband and children, 13 and 8 male and 6 female. On the second day, they came to visit me. At one point, all the adults, me, her husband, her, and our mother, were in the kitchen cooking together, while the children, nephews, and our younger cousin stayed in the living room watching cartoons. When my sister and I went into the living room, we saw her daughter licking this cactus. We quickly learned that the children were interested in its unusual appearance, discovered that it was soft, and then began encouraging each other to touch and lick it. Well, okay, I placed the cactus in a higher spot, we had dinner, and everything was fine. Later, my sister, her family, our mother, and our cousin went home, and I went to bed. I woke up in the morning to a lot of angry texts and calls. From what I understand, my sister and I still haven't had a peaceful conversation, so this is based on texts, a few fights we've had, and my mother's version. After they got home, my niece started complaining that her face hurt. They ended up in the emergency room. Her tongue was swollen, and she had strange spots on her arms and around her ears. She also vomited. She stayed in the hospital and had some tests done. The results came back a little strange, but the doctors said it was probably nothing to worry about. She'd be fine, and they gave her some medication. According to my mother, my niece was already less swollen by the morning. While this was happening, my sister remembered the cactus situation and apparently even sent her husband to my apartment to bring the cactus to the hospital so the doctors could confirm it was the cause. Honestly, I didn't hear a thing. According to the texts, he was knocking on my door and the neighbors forced him to leave, and there was a big argument in front of my door, but again, I didn't hear anything. I slept through the night, and no, I'm not taking sleeping pills or wearing earplugs. My neighbors haven't said anything about it either, so I think that part might be exaggerated, but anyway. This is where the problems begin. Healthcare in our country is 100% free as long as you are insured. Not only did my sister's children not have insurance for this trip, or maybe this particular incident isn't covered, I really don't know, but they are also not officially citizens of our country. So my sister ended up paying for her daughter's hospitalization. Now my sister wants me to pay her back. The thing is, I can't. First of all, I don't even have that kind of money. I would have to take out a loan to pay for it, but no one in my country will give me such a large loan because I am a student with a trashy job contract. Even my apartment is in my father's name, and he pays 70% of my bills. He and my mother are divorced. Secondly, I'll admit that I don't feel particularly guilty. I'm sad that my niece suffered, and I would definitely like to visit her and give her something or take her somewhere to apologize. But in the end, I didn't leave that cactus out on purpose. I didn't even know a cactus could cause such things. My sister isn't taking this well and now won't talk to me. My niece is getting out of the hospital tomorrow, but my sister said if I show up, she'll call security. Many of my sister's messages are chaotic. On one hand, she's begging me for money. On the other, she's yelling at me and the doctors. She claims they deliberately kept her daughter longer to get more money out of them. Then she tells me she's going to sue me. Then she apologizes and asks to talk to me. When I call her, she yells at me again, and so on. She even tried to drag our father and my relationship with him into it. Long story short, she and Dad stopped talking after he and Mom divorced, and she always blamed me for not doing the right thing. No one cheated, and there was no violence. Our parents separated after my dad changed jobs and started traveling. My mother says it's stress and asks me not to take it personally, but I don't know what to think anymore. She should have been watching her daughter. They should get insured when going abroad.
parents' fault. Why are the children egging each other to lick a cactus? They are old enough to not lick everything in sight. Did the parents not teach that? So a 13, 8, and 6-year-old were licking cactus? Why weren't the boys ill? Are you sure it was the cactus and not something else? From what I understand and saw, only 6 licked it. The rest were just said things like, "We'll do it soon," or "We have to do it." But they didn't have the courage. I think at best the rest were just touching it.